Good morning, everybody. I know you told me not to, but I'm going to say it anyway. I'm sorry. This is one of the longest videos I've ever done because there's so much with the NDA and Harry and Meghan. Of course, we do have the real royals in here as well, the real working royals. So let's just jump in and get there because there's a lot. Let's go. We're going to start off with Vice Admiral Sir Tim Lawrence, Princess Anne's husband. He has been given a royal appointment to the International Maritime Rescue Federation. He is now their patron. And what this group does is it brings together global search and rescue organizations to help develop their capabilities. Way to go. Moving on. Talking about Princess Anne next, remember I showed you guys the other day that she went to the Aberdeen South Harbor to open, after the renovation? Well, apparently Shauna Robinson, who is the deputy to First Minister Humza Yousaf, I hope I'm saying that right, was over 40 minutes late saying that there was urgent government business. But royal commentator Tom Bauer said, no, SNP is clearly Republican. They've stated it. Yousaf himself said he wants the monarchy abolished. But the problem is the Scots don't want the monarchy abolished. The Scots are in favor of the monarchy. And the fact that this woman was so late, and Princess Anne is such a nice person and so hardworking, and they run on a specific schedule, and she's, you know what I'm saying? So to have left her waiting all that time was really rude, really unnecessary, and they said it was a nail in the coffin, essentially, to the group. The Scots now don't want the monarchy abolished, and they're really angry at this woman for keeping Princess Anne waiting for 40 minutes. Good for them. Moving on. Moving on to Princess Catherine, I showed you the other day how when she was at the Leeds textile mill, she was speaking to one of the little girls there. Well, she revealed in this discussion with the little girl that her daughter, Princess Charlotte, is a very keen dancer. She apparently likes ballet and tap. We know that Princess Diana also loved dancing and she wanted to be a ballerina, but she was too tall. And it's also was let slip previous that she takes weekly ballet lessons just like Prince George. Wonderful. All right, moving on. All right, next up, Catherine, the Princess of Wales, previously Kate Middleton, went to a specialist center in Sittingbourne, Kent. And the point of this was to highlight the importance of supporting children with special needs and disabilities along with their family. It's called a family portage session, with portage being a model for supporting children with special needs. Very interesting. The service is apparently available all across England and Wales. Very nice. So the visit today was to find out more about the National Portage Association, to highlight the work that they do, because this ties into her whole Shaping Us campaign. Remember, she launched that in January, and it's all about society's awareness of the importance of the first 5 years of a child's life. She has been researching this for over a decade. She's had experts working with her, and she founded the Royal Foundation Center for Early Childhood in 2021. Who can forget that? So this association, the National Portage Association, is having its 40th anniversary this year. They work with over 100 portage services, and the organization, according to its website, said that name Portage came from a town in Wisconsin here in the United States where the scheme first began. Now, this is a council-run, according to the article, home visiting service for children from birth to preschool age, as I previously said before, across England and Wales, that sends trained practitioners to their homes to help them with their development. Catherine showed up looking effortless, loved the clothing. We'll discuss that in just a minute. And she immediately met the people outside. And of course, you know how she is. She puts everybody at ease. But what's the first thing you think that everybody noticed about her when she got out of that car? Come on, you know it. Her hair, because she was rocking a new hairstyle. This is how you do a bun. It's not messy. It's neat. It's organized. It's elegant. I mean, this is what I like about her. Yeah, she's showing how a bun should be worn. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about. Anyway, she stood outside. She said hello to everybody. And of course, we're also showing off her new bangs. Well, they're not new. She's had bangs before, but she waves to everybody and she entered the building. Now, what they did was they brought in 7 children for her session. Now, these different children have a range of needs and conditions. Some have social issues, autism, there was some Down syndrome, a little bit of this and a little bit of that so that she could see the gamut, if that makes sense. Now, there was a lot of interesting things. They had one child that was playing with foam, and they were talking about how great it was that they didn't get the phone on the princess. I got to be honest, I don't think she would have cared. Now, she really seemed taken with this one little girl who had a plastic red dog and shredded paper. And it was a sensory development play session. And they had the little girl essentially grab the shredded paper and throw it around, and it landed all over people and in their hair. And you could tell that Catherine was just enjoying it. She wasn't sitting back going, oh my goodness, I hope I don't have paper in my hair, as somebody else might have done. She loved it there. Catherine did meet one gentleman there, father of 4, and the youngest has some issues, and that's why he's there. And basically, he told Catherine that his wife had the same condition that she had when she was pregnant, with the constant vomiting. The princess was like, "Oh my goodness, yeah." Now, besides the throwing of the shredded paper, and apparently they also threw some tinsel around, and the foam, she also got to tickle some tummies, they said, and rub some toddlers' backs, showing her maternal side. We all know how that is. All right, a big thank you once again to Remoulade Sauce for all the information on everything that she was wearing. Let's move on. All right, let's move on to the Duke of Edinburgh, Edward's finishing up in Turkey. He went to the university there to look at I guess you would call it a Lego construction system of green structural components for low-cost housing projects. Doesn't that sound interesting? You wonder when you look at all of this, because this is all a cooperative thing, how he's going to be able to bring this back to the UK and how they're going to be able to use it in the UK. I truly believe that this is right up Edward's alley. This is all stuff that he'll be able to take back to the UK to, help out people in the UK. Love it. Now, he also made a stop at the Pira House, I believe is how you say it. And if I'm not mistaken, that's where he met with post-grad students from the earthquake zone working on, the next phases of the projects. FYI, and I'm not surprised by this, but he also met the president of Turkey. Very nice. Okay, moving on. All right, here we go. It's the battle of the puff pieces. You can either believe that they're living in perfect domestic bliss, a tale of two halves, or you can believe that their marriage is a marriage of hell, which is what I believe, especially with the stories coming out that Harry and Meghan are living separate lives, except for Invictus and that stupid, puff thing that they put out where they were calling those winners. They have not been seen together. Nobody sees them together. We all know that when they are together, their behavior is an act. They're not that good. And Meghan has been called disingenuous. Sharon Osbourne came out and said, all of this cuddly, lovey, holding hands, going everywhere together. It's like, come on, give us a break. Because everybody knows that their marriage is going down the tubes. Everybody can see it. Everybody sees what's going on. They're never together anymore. They don't... she hasn't worn her wedding ring now or her engagement ring in how long? And her story about where it is crap. We all know it. So here's one of our 2 of the big stories for today. So Harry and Meghan did what they usually do. They partnered up with somebody else. Here's the statement from Archewell. It says, as students around the world return to school, our foundation supported girls' education and health by sending school supplies and menstrual products to young scholars in Nigeria with this foundation. I can't pronounce the foundation name, so I'm not even going to try. And then it goes on to say that this foundation gives critical health care and education services in Nigeria. And the Leadership Scholarship provides full tuition, medical care, and social and emotional support to young female victims of terrorism and gender inequality in Nigeria. So what they did essentially is they joined up with this group, and they said Afam Onyema, who is the CEO of this group, joined the Archewell staff to help fill backpacks with supplies and menstrual products, okay? So what they did basically was they partnered up with this foundation. They gave like probably like a $500 donation or a $1,000 donation, and then they take credit for the work that this man and his group does. That's what they've always done. They take credit for other people's work. They say they pair up. They don't pair up. They give them a donation and they take the glory. They did the same thing with the school playgrounds. How many times have they done this? P&G donated the diapers, but it was Archewell. But you didn't pay for those diapers. You know what I'm saying? This is what they do. So as usual, somebody else is doing the work and they're trying to take the credit. I would say I'm shocked, but this is just par for the course. All right, moving on. Okay, I can't believe we're talking about this whole Harlem thing again from 2021, but we are. Because somebody used the Freedom of Information Act to get the emails that went back and forth between this school, Archewell, and Penguin Random House. Unbelievable. Now remember, this school that they went to is one of the poorest schools in that area. I mean, all the children are getting like free lunches. But apparently what went on was the Sussexes wanted to make sure that they were presented in, and this is what the article says, in a positive light. Okay, this was supposed to be used for their Netflix docuseries, and in the end, it didn't get used. So in the email, the staff say which school they want to visit. They went through multiple edits of press releases so that their appearance would sound quote unquote more substantial. Unbelievable. So we're going to look at some of those now. Okay, here we go. So we have this first email from somebody at Archewell to Tanya Holness asking if the release that all the students and staff signed at the beginning of year, would that cover all the shooting, or do they need more specific consent forms? Because after all, these are children. Apparently they didn't determine it to be enough, so here's some more information. If you look at the bottom, that's what they wanted. All right, so then 3 days before they go to the school, the people at Archewell contact the New York City Department of Education with some release forms for location and appearance. So they give it to them and say, I want you to run this by your attorneys. And if you look down, it says there is a concern about filming the children, and maybe they might use the content in a future documentary. So then the New York City officials asked Harry and Meghan's team what the film footage was for. Tanya Holness gave a very vague explanation. It could, again, like I just said, it could be used in the future, but it's not supposed to be promotional in nature. And then these are the papers that were given to the school, which gave Harry and Meghan's film crew permission to capture content for future use, but didn't refer to their film project by name, okay? And if you look, the confidentiality clause is there. That's the one where none of the students or teachers could make any negative comments about what was going on inside the school. Unbelievable. I personally would never have signed this if I was a parent, because essentially the school gets nothing, your kid gets nothing, and Harry and Meghan get to make millions off of them. I mean, that's what it is. We all know she wore this horrible red outfit that was over $7,500, and she accessorized with over $387,000 worth of jewelry to one of the poorest schools in New York. Unbelievable. Now, this is when you start to see the emails, because they want Meghan sitting there reading the bench to be more substantial. So they're looking for carpet, cushions, decor, things to make the event at the school better. Because, you can't just have Meghan sit down and read her book. No, they have to make it look better. And then they wanted the press release change to be more substantial by including the couple's objective to, quote unquote, support the community. Now, I've told you guys before, I knew there must have been an issue with the kids, and sure enough, the New York City school press secretary warned Archewell that children cannot be featured in material that's promotional, and so the head of the unscripted content gave another vague answer that the content could be used in a future documentary, but it wasn't intended to be promotional in nature. And the final email in the chain, which was sent 2 days before Harry and Meghan went to the school, asked for the best way to get the releases signed and dated. So as I said, they tried to change things to make it sound more substantial. So Penguin Random House also changed a line in their own press release saying that Meghan was donating 5 reading nooks to 5 schools in New York, and then they replaced the word 5 with many because they wanted it to seem like a larger number. The same way a news release from the publisher was amended to say Archewell worked with Procter & Gamble to provide free personal health and hygiene products for the school rather than just the consumer products giant provided the items. Again, this is exactly what I just told you. They take credit for other people's stuff. And also, if you look back at the press release, they had to scrap out all the stuff about the bench, which is all about a father and their child's relationship, which I think was absolutely right to be crossed out. I mean, you're at a school where most of the parents are single mothers. Tone deaf. So they have no problem merching other people's children. They just don't want to do it to their children. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I forgot. They're bringing them out next year. Now, here's something that really upsets me. We all know Harry and Meghan went to the One World Observatory. Tanya Holness restricted media access through emails saying, quote, under no circumstances should we let in folks from the 4 UK tabloids. They don't have that kind of power, but that's what they requested. They barred the British newspapers that Harry and Meghan didn't like. And just FYI, when those people showed up, they were told that they couldn't get in because they hadn't confirmed their attendance the night before. Now, of course, they've reached out to Archewell and they're not speaking. Now, the interesting thing about all of that is that the World Trade Center is run by the Port Authority. They own it, they run it. So what that says from all the emails is that Harry and Meghan were given protection by either the New York Police Department or the governor's security team, because a lieutenant from the Port Authority announced that 2 days before Harry and Meghan showed up, they were informed by the intelligence division that Harry and Meghan were coming to New York. And then they were driven around in large SUVs, including one who's usually Taylor Swift's bodyguard. So for those of you who aren't catching it, it would appear that New York paid for the security of these multi-millionaires. So let me just sum up a few things. First of all, when you are royal, you're invited to things. You don't have your PR people get you invitations to things. You see the difference? A perfect example is what happened with Kevin Costner and the first responders. When you are royal, you're supposed to bring attention to other things, to charities, to help them raise money. With these two, everything that they do is to bring attention to themselves to make money for them. Perfect examples of this are the clothes merching that went on at Invictus, or when Harry and Meghan team up with that Nigerian group who donated everything, but Harry and Meghan take credit, or P&G who donated diapers and Harry and Meghan take credit. You guys know where I'm going. And putting your best foot forward when you're at an event is one thing, but trying to get teachers, parents, and children gagged so that they're unable to say anything negative about you. Perfect example, what happened at the school. One of the parents did do a video, which, by the way, YouTube removed, probably because of the NDA. But could you imagine that Harry and Meghan donated a washer dryer, which, by the way, was coming from P&G, and we don't even know if it was delivered. The fact that they also tried to silence the media by not allowing 4 British papers into a publicly owned building, trying to effectively gag them. Yep. The fact, by the way, that they went to that school and made all those demands instead of donating money to that school. Also, they're running around collecting awards, most of which we found out later on were paid for, like the NAACP award, or that their friends put them up for, like the Glow put Meghan up for. They're not real. But the only thing I want to say about the NDAs in the school is now you know why the people at Invictus never say anything. Now you know why every time they go to these events, nobody says anything. I guarantee you these NDAs, these non-disclosures, are brought out at every event they attend. Yep. And let's not forget that these two want to fight misinformation in the media, while the two of them were caught in multiple flat-out lies in the Netflix docuseries, in the Oprah show, and by putting out the information that they put out to make it sound like they're doing work when it's really other people's work, that's also lying. That's misinformation. This is another reason why nobody's paying any attention to what they're doing to try to shut down free speech. So the constant lying, the constant misinformation, the constant attention grabs. You know, it was recently in the paper again about their deal with P&G, Procter & Gamble. Notice you don't hear anything about that anymore. Or Central World Kitchen. Notice you don't hear anything about that anymore either. Because these two got them to donate items and then took full credit for it. People are over them. That's why WME has to arrange where they go and what they do. Nobody wants them. All right, now coming in towards the end, this is another article that just makes me mad because Eugenie and her friend who do the anti-slavery coalition together, you know, the thing together, they went to a bakery in East Sussex and they highlighted it on the Anti-Slavery Collective's Instagram page. So what are people saying? Oh, well, she's copying Meghan because Meghan became involved with the Hub Kitchen. I mean, Meghan didn't do crap compared to what Eugenie's done throughout her life. Anyway, the skill supports female survivors of human trafficking and modern slavery by giving therapeutic baking sessions and sessions with trauma-enforced experts to focus on the well-being of women. Love it. And by the way, you should know that when it comes to that Grenfell cookbook, the recipes belong to all the women. The money to put it together was done by the Royal Foundation. Well, and I want to say I agree with according to Taz here. You know, Eugenie, who's a princess who's carried out charitable work since she was old enough to do so, is put against Meghan Markle, who did only 72 engagement, moaned constantly, and was upset she wasn't being paid for it. Yep. Lots of information, you guys. Leave those comments, make them good. And if you've donated to my coffee fund or through the thanks button, thank you so much.